2058-11 MJ 2311. 1. Choose any two of the following passages from the Quran. A. Briefly describe the main theme or themes in each chosen passage. 4. B. Briefly explain the importance of these themes in a Muslim's life today. 4. 1. Surah 114. 1. Say, I seek refuge with the Lord of mankind. 2. The King of mankind. 3. The God of mankind. 4. From the mischief of the whisperer who withdraws. 5. Who whispers into the hearts of mankind. 6. Among jinns and among mankind. 2. Surah 2.30-37. 30. Behold, your Lord said to the angels, I will create a vicegerent on earth. They said, will you place there one who will make mischief there and shed blood? Whilst we celebrate your praises and glorify your holy name? He said, I know what you do not know. 31. And he taught Adam the names of all things, then he placed them before the angels, and said, tell me the names of these if you are right. 32. They said, glory to you, of knowledge we have none, save what you have taught us. In truth it is you who are perfect in knowledge and wisdom. 33. He said, Adam, tell them their names. When he had told them, Allah said, did I not tell you that I know the secrets of heaven and earth, and I know what you reveal and what you conceal? 34. And behold, we said to the angels, bow down to Adam. And they bowed down. Not so Iblis, he refused and was haughty, he was of those who reject faith. 35. We said, Adam, you and your wife dwell in the garden, and eat of the bountiful things in it as you wish. But do not approach this tree, or you will run into harm and transgression. 36. Then Satan made them slip from there, and got them out of what they had been in. We said, go down, with enmity between yourselves. On earth will be your dwelling place and your means of livelihood, for a time. 37. Then Adam learnt from his Lord words of inspiration, and his Lord turned towards him, for he is often returning, most merciful. 3. Surah 108. 1. To you have we granted abundance. 2. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice. 3. For he who hates you, he will be cut off. Ans. A. 1. This is the last surah of the Quran revealed together with Surah 113. Both are called Al-Mu'awwizatan, the two protectors. Some traditions declare them to be the Makkan surahs, but relatively stronger sources prove them to be Madniyan. Both teach Muslims not to have any fears of the supernatural and the unknown, the internal and external evils that may affect them. Surah 113 mentions Allah's protection from the visible evils. This surah, on the other hand, reassures Muslims of Allah's powers to protect them against the invisible or internal evil forces. Repetition of Allah's attributes in the first 3 verses assures humans of Allah's powers and love for them. The remaining verses warn against Satan, and mention his method of enticing humans. He injects evil ideas in their hearts, and temporarily withdraws to see the effect of his attempt. For this reason, the Quran repeatedly declares, verily Satan is an avowed enemy to man. 12:5, Yusuf. 2. These verses describe the story of the purpose of creation of humankind and its superiority over other creatures due to the gift of knowledge. Allah told his angels about appointing his vicegerent Khalifa on the earth. He also told them the reason of the elevated status of Adam, who was granted the knowledge of the names of all things. Angels were then commanded by Allah to prostrate before Adam. All obeyed Allah except Iblis, who being a jinn and not an angel disobeyed Allah. So, he showed his arrogance to Allah. Adam and his wife Eve were sent to paradise for a comfortable living as well as testing their free will. Their Iblis, now titled Satan, successfully persuaded them to disobey Allah, as is endorsed by another verse, then began Satan to whisper suggestions to them. 720, Al-Raf, repentance of both was, however, accepted by Allah, who asked them to shift to the earth for a new phase of life. Thus began a perpetual enmity between humans and Satan. 3. prophet. This is the shortest Theme of this surah is Allah's special love and care for the Holy Prophet. This is the shortest surah revealed in the early Makkan period. The Prophet was mocked by the Makkans on the death of his second son, Abdullah from Hazrat Khadijah. On hearing this, his uncle Abu Lahab came out of his house saying, "Batara Muhammadan," that means Muhammad has been cut off, of future hope. Other pagans also began to mock him. The Prophet then received this surah that gave him the glad tiding of their abundance. The word abundance carries multiple meanings that include the moral qualities of the Prophet, his followers, the prophethood, the Quran, his knowledge and wisdom. It also refers to a specially blessed river in paradise that he had seen in his Miraj journey. He, and by his way all Muslims, were asked to establish regular prayer and to develop the spirit of sacrifice so that he could continuously strengthen his bond with Allah and to get constant divine support. The last verse promised destruction of the Prophet's enemies who are no more remembered in a good way. Ans. B. 1. This first word, Qul say, requires Muslims to be obedient to Allah as that is the only way to seek his refuge against evil. A genuine obedience removes any arrogance towards Allah or a false belief of having control over their destinies. Once, the Prophet was riding a mule along with a companion. When the mule stumbled, the companion said, "May Satan perish." The Prophet said, "Do not say that. It encourages Satan," and he says, "I knocked with my strength. But if you say, in the name of Allah, Satan is dwarfed and becomes like a fly." This means the remembrance of Allah guarantees defeat of Satan. The Muslims are alerted against Satan's evil mission of misguiding them. Therefore, they follow the Prophet's tradition by reciting the last two surahs regularly before going to bed. Regular recitation of the last two surahs acts as an antidote against all satanic forces, however stronger they might be. Their dependence on Allah gets stronger. 2. Muslims learn from these verses about Allah's wisdom behind creating Adam as first human as well as first prophet who received divine guidance. Hence they realize Allah's love behind sending several messengers for humankind. They also learn that their superiority is coupled with a lifelong struggle against Satan as their free will remains his prime target. Therefore, Allah made arrangements for their guidance to the right path. Muslims should keep striving to follow the teachings preached by Allah's messengers. According to Muslim belief, all humans are born pure, but it is Satan who can misguide them. Muslims, therefore, should be grateful to Allah and be alert about their spiritual enemy, Satan. They should also remember that if they commit sins but express repentance on it, they can hope forgiveness by Allah. This is testified by this hadith Qudsi, "Truly, my mercy overcomes my wrath." 3. This passage, like Surah 93, teaches Muslims to have faith in Allah's support that surely reaches the noble people. The Holy Prophet was assured of the abundance in the face of persecutions in Makkah. Muslims need to remember this surah in times of difficulties. They should not lose hope if they incur any losses but instead should beg mercy from Allah. They are taught to be contented with whatever Allah has given them. They should be thankful to Him for making them the Ummah of the Holy Prophet. They should try to comprehend and follow the teachings of Quran in order to avail the abundance of its spiritual and moral benefits. They should remember Allah in all circumstances. The best way of remembering Him is regular prayer as commanded by the Quran, and establish regular prayer in order to remember me. 2014, Toha. The surah teaches Muslims to be ready for any type of sacrifice that too brings them closer to Allah. 2a. The Prophet, Pu, received revelation from God when he was 40 years old. Write about this experience of the first revelation. 10b. Explain the importance of the revelation being sent to a prophet who could not read or write. 4. Ans. A. According to various Sahih ahadith, the Prophet received his first revelation when he was 40. For example, one hadith says, the commencement of the revelation to the Holy Prophet was in the form of good dreams which came true like bright daylight, and then the love of seclusion was bestowed upon him. He used to go in seclusion in the cave of Hira, where he used to worship Allah continuously for many days before his desire to see his family. He used to take with him the journey food for the stay and then come back to his wife Khadijah to take his food likewise again. Accordingly, as he approached 40, the Prophet began to isolate himself from the social life of Makkah. He would spend long time in the cave of Hira, in the Mount of Light or Jabal al-Nur, in the outskirts of Makkah, meditating about his relationship with Allah. He is also reported to have seen dreams that always came out to be true, Uya al-Sadiqa. It was during such meditations that Jibreel appeared before the Prophet in a night of Ramadan. He commanded him to recite. The Holy Prophet replied that he could not read. Jibreel pressed him so hard that he could not bear it. This happened twice, and on his third command, the Prophet replied, "What shall I read?" Jibreel squeezed him for the third time, and recited, "Read in the name of your Lord who created man out of a clot of congealed blood. Read, and your Lord is most bountiful. He who taught the use of the pen, taught that which he knew not." Al-Alaq, 96:1-5. This was the first ever revelation sent down on the Holy Prophet. Historians are not sure about the exact date of this revelation. The Quran, however, endorses that this was during the month of Ramadan as stated in this verse. Ramadan is the month in which was sent down the Quran, Al-Baqarah 2:185. It further confirms that it happened in one of the nights of this holy month. We have indeed revealed this in the night of power. Al-Qadr, 97:1. Hazrat Jibreel's special might and power was demonstrated so that he could tell the Prophet about the fact that the message had been sent by one supreme Allah who is all-powerful. The Quran mentions this in these words, "The revelation of this book is from Allah, the exalted in power, full of wisdom." Al-Zumar, 39:1. The Prophet recovered from this shocking experience and felt as though the words of the revelation were indelibly imprinted on his mind. He made his way to his home and heard a voice from the heavens. According to a tradition reported by Abdullah bin Zubair, the Prophet narrated, "When I was midway on the mountain, I heard a voice from heaven saying, 'O Muhammad, you are the apostle of Allah and I am Jibreel. I raised my head towards heaven to see who was speaking. I saw Gabriel in the form a man with his feet astride the horizon and his wings spread to the extent of my sight. I stood gazing at him, moving neither forward nor backward. Then I began to turn my face away from him, but towards whatever region of the sky I looked, I saw him as before." Al-Tabari and Ibn Hisham. The Prophet finally reached home and, after narrating the whole experience, he asked his wife to wrap him in a cloak as he was trembling with cold. He further said, "I fear something may happen to me." Hazrat Khadijah replied, "Never. By Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. You keep good relations with your kith and kin, help the poor and the destitute, serve your guests generously and assist the deserving calamity-afflicted ones." She left him asleep, and went to her cousin Waraka bin Nawfil, a Christian religious scholar. She told the Waraka the whole incident, and he said, "Holy, holy, holy. By the one who has power over my soul, if you would believe me, Khadijah, the one who came to him is the same Holy Spirit Nomos who used to go to Moses. He, Mohammed, is going to be the prophet of this nation, so tell him to hold on steadfastly. He will be called a liar. He will be persecuted. He will have to fight, and if I am alive then, Allah will see that I will prove a good account of myself." Hazrat Khadijah went back and told the Prophet all details. Later, she took him to see Waraka himself. Waraka warned Hazrat Muhammad of the hardships of his mission, and predicted his exile from Makkah. When the Prophet expressed his fear of hearing unseen voices, Waraka said, "If you hear the hidden voice again, stay and listen to what it says." The Prophet received no revelation for the next 6 months, and remained quite disturbed during this period. B. The Prophet, under a divine scheme, had not been taught how to read and write like ordinary people around him. If it had been so, the status of his teacher could have become a matter of controversy. Therefore, he was taught by Allah Almighty through Hazrat Jibreel as he had been destined to be the greatest teacher of humankind. The Quran mentions this aspect of the Prophet as, the unlettered prophet who believes in Allah and his words, follow him so that you may be guided. Al-Araf 7:158. Moreover, the possible allegation of the Makkans, that the Prophet had himself written down the Quran, could be countered. Finally, this reflects miraculous powers of Allah who sent down his inimitable and incorruptible message to his last messenger without making him fulfill any prerequisites of formal education. 3a. Using examples from the Prophet's life show how he demonstrated the two qualities of trustworthiness. Forgiveness. 10. b. In what ways can people show their trustworthiness to each other? Give specific examples from everyday life. 4. A. Forgiveness. The Prophet has been declared in the Quran a role model for Muslims due to his outstanding qualities. The Quran says, "You indeed in the Messenger of Allah have a beautiful pattern of conduct." 33:21, Al-Ahzab, he was a perfection of nobility of conduct in all walks of life. He loved to observe forgiveness as he was mercy for all. He set numerous examples of forgiving his worst enemies. He was taunted, ridiculed, and given derogatory titles during his prophetic mission in Mecca, but he never expressed any revenge or developed any grudge against the pagans. Garbage was thrown on him, thorny bushes were spread on his way, and his prayer was interrupted by putting filth on his back. He would remain silent and complete his prayer patiently. During his visit to Taif, the people of Banu Tarkif pelted him with stones so harshly that he began to bleed, but he silently begged to Allah for help. Allah sent Hazrat Jibreel and the Angel of Mountains with an offer of crushing the whole tribe of Taif between two mountains. The Prophet, however, only prayed for their guidance to the right path. He surprised all by treating the captives of Bad in a kind way. The Prophet did not curse the Makkans in the Battle of Uhud. On the conquest of Mecca, he declared general pardon for all, including his former enemies like Abu Sufyan, Hind bint Utbah, Washai bin Hob and Ikrimah bin Abu Jahl. He demonstrated lenience even towards hypocrites, the most dangerous enemies of Islam. He did not take any strict action against them despite their proven disloyalty to Islam. He, instead, led the funeral prayer of their chief, Abdullah bin Ubay, on the request of his son. Hazrat Umar reminded the Prophet of Allah's prohibition of leading the funeral prayer of a hypocrite, mentioned in 9 hours 80 minutes. The Prophet smilingly replied, "Had I known he would be forgiven by my seeking his forgiveness for more than 70 times, I would surely do that." Then he led his funeral prayer, and received the revelation, "Do not ever pray over any of them, hypocrites, who dies, nor stand over his grave." 9 hours 84 minutes, Al-Tawbah. Accordingly, the Prophet never performed the funeral prayer of any hypocrite after this. Trustworthiness. The Makkans called the Prophet Al-Sadiq and Al-Amin because of his honesty and truthfulness. They respected him for these qualities even before his formal declaration of prophethood. They continued to entrust their belongings with him after he had started preaching Islam. They knew that he was a thoroughly trustworthy man. His marriage with Hazrat Khadija was partly a result of his utmost degree of honesty and trustworthiness. He expanded her business in a fair way, and this greatly impressed her. When the Quraysh were repairing the Kaaba, fixing the black stone became a major dispute for all tribal chiefs. Each of them wanted to install the sacred stone in its original place. They had drawn their swords, and were ready to fight over this issue. However, they agreed to accept the decision of the one who entered the sacred mosque first the following morning. They were happy when the Prophet, Pu, entered saying Al-Amin had arrived to resolve the dispute. The Prophet resolved the dispute in such a way that was acceptable to all. In 622 AD, when the Prophet had been informed by Allah of the plan of Makkans to kill him, he was worried about the belongings of his enemies that were in his custody. Therefore, on the night before his Hijra journey for Medina, he asked Hazrat Ali to sleep in his bed so that he could return the belongings to their owners. After agreeing on the terms of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he kept his promise by refusing to rescue Abu Jandal, who had just reached Hudaybiyah. Since he had agreed that any Muslim escaping from Mecca to Medina was to be sent back, He kept his promise when Abu Jandal requested him to take him along to Medina. In 7 AH, when the Prophet's envoy took the message of Islam to the court of the Roman Emperor, Abu Sufyan was also in Syria for his trade. The emperor summoned him and asked him about the conduct of the Prophet. Though an enemy of Islam at that time, Abu Sufyan testified to the truthfulness and trustworthiness of the Prophet. B. We can observe trustworthiness to each other by fulfilling our commitments and promises. If we borrow some money from a friend, we should return it on, or preferably, before the mutually agreed date. The Quran reminds us about our accountability in these matters. It commands, "And honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them." 1734, Bani Israel. Similarly, if we post some material on social media, we should honestly reveal our identity and the source of information posted. This will enhance our credibility before the people, and they will show more interest in our posts. Likewise, if we conduct online trade, we should sell the products with the same quality that we have promised to present to the customers. 4a. Write an account of the Battle of Uhud. 10b. In your opinion, what is the most important lesson that Muslims might learn from this battle? Give reasons to support your answer. 4a. The Quraysh wanted to avenge their defeat in the Battle of Badr, as many pagans had lost their relatives in that encounter. Abu Sufyan became the new military chief in Mecca. He was encouraged by all to raise an army against Medina. Women of the aggrieved families also joined the Makkan army. They included Hind bint Utbah, wife of Abu Sufyan, Hakim, granddaughter of Abu Jahl, and Fatima, sister of Khalid bin Walid. Thus Abu Sufyan was able to raise an army of 3,000 troops with 300 camels, 200 horses and 700 coats of mail armor. The left and right wings were under the command of Ikrimah bin Abu Jahl and Khalid bin Walid respectively, while Amr bin Alaz was the commander of the cavalry. Hind hired Washai bin Hob, the slave of Jubair bin Mut'im. He was assigned the mission of killing Hazrat Hamza, who had killed Hind's father in the Battle of Badr. This army reached north of Medina in March 625 AD, Shawwal 3 AH, and camped near the Uhud hill along the road to Syria. Hazrat Abbas sent all these details to the Prophet in a letter through a fast courier. Hazrat Hubab bin Munda Ansari was sent to find out the number of the enemy army. The Prophet consulted his followers and accepted the proposal of facing the enemy outside Medina. He recruited 1,000 troops and left for the Uhud valley after the Friday prayer. On the way, the chief of hypocrites Abdullah bin Ubay deserted with his 300 troops on the excuse that their houses were unsafe back in Medina. The Prophet camped with 700 troops on the western slope of the Mount Uhud. Hazrat Muzabi bin Umair was made the flag-bearer, Hazrat Zubayr commander of the right wing, and the horsemen. The left wing was under Hazrat Mundir bin Amr. The Prophet appointed 50 archers under Hazrat Abdullah bin Jubayr on a narrow passage at the back of the Muslim army. They were strictly instructed not to leave unless ordered by the Prophet. The Quran mentions the Prophet's strategy as, "Remember that morning you left your household to post the faithful at their station for the battle." 3:121, Al-Imran. In the Makkan army, Khalid bin Walid was the commander of the right wing, whereas the left was under Ikrimah bin Abu Jahl. Safwan bin Umayyah led the cavalry, while Talha was the flag-bearer. In the single combats, Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Hamza killed Talha and Uthman from the pagan army. With this began the general fight, and Hazrat Hamza, Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Abu Dujana, a famous wrestler, broke into the enemy ranks. Muslim attack was fierce and the Quraysh began to retreat. Muslims continued to press the enemy and began to collect the spoils. When the 50 archers saw this, 36 of them also left their position and began to collect the booty. The Quran refers to these Muslims in these words, "When you, with his, Allah's, permission were about to annihilate your enemy until you, the archers, flinched and fell to disputing about the order and disobeyed it." 3:152, Al-Imran. Khalid bin Walid quickly mobilized his troops and attacked through the passage. This changed the scene, and the retreating Makkans also made a counter-attack as they saw Khalid's powerful attack on Muslims. Many Muslims were killed, including Hazrat Hamza, who was martyred by Washai bin Hob. Washai hurled at him his spear through his navel. Hazrat Hamza tried to advance but fell down as martyr. Hind mutilated the dead body of Hazrat Hamza by chewing out his liver. In the panic, Hazrat Musabi bin Umair, who resembled the Prophet closely, was killed, and it was rumored that the Prophet had been martyred. The Prophet was also wounded, and lost one tooth. All this disheartened the Muslims, but soon Hazrat Ka'b bin Malik identified the Prophet and many Muslims rushed to him. Abdullah bin Kamiya struck the Prophet so hard that 2 links of the helmet got pierced into his face. A group of 20 companions made a shield around the Prophet and quickly climbed towards the hilltop. Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Fatima dressed the wounds of the Prophet. Hazrat Aisha, Sulaim and Salit served water to the injured Muslims. Abu Sufyan shouted, "This day we are avenged for bad." His army had killed 70 Muslims and left for Makkah, challenging to fight the next year. The Prophet reorganized his army and began to bury the martyred Muslims. The Quraysh lost only 22 soldiers. B. The most important lesson to be learned from this battle is to accept setbacks and losses as part of life. Allah grants us success for our hard work and good planning. However, He may test us by some failures so that we may learn lesson from our mistakes. The 36 archers committed the mistake of leaving their posts without the permission of the Prophet, and this became the turning point of the battle. So, in our daily life, if we also make a serious mistake, we should be ready to face the consequences without blaming our luck. We should not complain to Allah for our own wrong planning and misjudgments. Instead, we should plan our projects wisely and sincerely, and then leave the consequences to Allah. The Prophet taught Muslims this invocation in this regard: "O Allah, I seek your counsel through your knowledge and I seek your assistance through your might." 5a. Write an account of the life of Fatima and the life of any one other of the Prophet's daughters. 10b. What lessons might Muslims learn from the relationship between the Prophet, and his daughters? Give examples to support your answer. 4. A. Hazrat Fatima. Hazrat Fatima was the youngest daughter of the Prophet, born in 605 AD. She resembled the Prophet closely and was his most beloved daughter. She was witness to a number of persecutions faced by her father. According a hadith of Bukhari, once the Prophet was in the state of prostration, Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt came and threw the intestine of a camel on the back of the Prophet. The Prophet didn't raise his head from prostration till his daughter came and removed those intestines from his back. In another incident, she screamed for help when some pagans were trying to strangulate the Prophet. Then Hazrat Abu Bakr reached to rescue him. She migrated to Medina with her stepmother. The Prophet had a special affection for her and he used to receive her by standing up. Whenever he went on a visit, she was the last to part him, and when he got back she was the first one to receive him. She married Hazrat Ali in 624 AD. The dowry given by the Prophet to his daughter was quite simple: 480 dirhams, some utensils, a pair of Yemeni cotton gloves and a raw hide of a goat. Hazrat Ali never remarried during her life. Together with Hazrat Ali, she dressed the wounds of the Prophet after the Battle of Uhud. During the Battle of Kandak, she prepared food along with other women for the besieged Muslims. She bore 3 sons and 2 daughters, Zainab and Kulthum. Of the sons, Hazrat Mohsin died early while Hazrat Hassan and Hazrat Hussein survived to continue the progeny of the Prophet. After the conquest of Khyber in 7 AH, the Prophet gifted her Tasbih Fatima, that is a special glorification of Allah recited by Muslims till today. The Prophet had told her during his last days that she would be the first one to greet him in paradise. She died 6 months after the demise of the Prophet. According to traditions, she had some differences with Hazrat Abu Bakr and Hazrat Umar regarding the assets of the Prophet, including the Fadak garden and Hazrat Ali's eligibility for successorship to the Prophet. Hazrat Fatima received various titles that include Ghazia, Al-Mubarakah, the Blessed Woman, Al-Zakiyah, the Chaste Woman, and Al-Zahra, the Bright Star. She is one of the 5 pure souls in the light of the context of 33:33, Al-Azab, and this hadith, as for Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, I am at war with whoever fights against them, and at peace with whoever is at peace with them. Her husband and sons are among the first 3 of the 12 Imams recognized by the 12 Shia Muslims, Ithna Ashri. Hazrat Zainab. Hazrat Zainab was his second child, after Hazrat Qasim, and the eldest daughter born in 600 AD. She was married to Abu al-As bin Rabi, a nephew of Hazrat Khadija. When the Prophet began to preach Islam, she became a Muslim, but her husband remained a pagan, and this created difficulties. Both stayed back in Mecca after the Prophet had migrated to Medina. Abu al-As fought against Muslims in the Battle of Badr and was among the captives. Hazrat Zainab sent a necklace as ransom for the release of her husband. The Prophet was aggrieved to see the necklace as it was gifted to her daughter by Hazrat Khadija. Abu al-As was released without ransom and on the condition of sending Hazrat Zainab to Medina. He accepted it and sent his wife to Medina. During the journey, she was attacked by Habba bin Aswad and wounded. About 3 years later, her husband also embraced Islam and joined her. She died in 8 630 AD due to the wound she had received during her migration journey. She bore a son Ali and a daughter Umama who was married to Hazrat Ali after the death of Hazrat Fatima. Her son Ali sat with the Prophet on his camel on the victorious entry of the Prophet to Mecca in 630 AD. B. Muslims have many lessons to learn from the Prophet's relationship with his daughters. Muslim parents should not feel disappointed if Allah has given them daughters only. The Prophet gave special instructions in this regard. Whoever becomes the father of a girl, he should neither hurt her nor treat her with contempt nor show preference over her to his sons in kindness and affection. The Prophet demonstrated this by treating his daughters in a kind and caring way. So, Muslim parents should likewise be compassionate to their daughters. They should educate them like they do the same for their sons. They should also teach them the lessons of living a life of austerity and remembrance of Allah in hard times. They should fulfill all their needs without considering them a burden.